Hi, it's Chuck from Above the Basement, Boston Music and Conversation. How would you like to join us in creating great conversations that inspire and connect? Patreon is a membership platform that provides a way for creators like us to build relationships and provide exclusive experiences to subscribers or patrons. We have been self-financed since we got off the ground in June of 2016, but in order to continue to fully invest all we can in each episode, we need your patronage. For more information, please go to patreon.com/Above the Basement.
Stormy minds, they lead to stormy weather. I know I got cloudy, losty now or never. For so long, gave myself no option of slowing. Never quite knew where I was going, but I was moving so fast. I was moving so fast. I was moving so fast and so strong. In a field I came upon.
I first saw Ryan Montbleau back in 2012 in Boston on a rock and blues cruise that featured the Ryan Montbleau Band. It was a full boat and was packed with Ryan Montbleau fans, and the band totally rocked the house, or rather the boat. The singer-songwriter and band leader has been a relentless road warrior. His last album, called I Was Just Leaving, is a bit more introspective than his previous, but certainly shows off his songwriting chops. His most recent project is a duo with the wonderful Hayley Jane called Yes, Darling. I was joined by guest co-host Ike Walker at our usual location in Concord, Massachusetts, and we talked jury duty, moving, writing, dreams, eggs, lots of stuff. A great talk, and Ryan and I are now the bestest of friends. Just ask him. Anyways, here is our conversation with Ryan Montbleau, recorded at Woods Hill Table in Concord, Massachusetts. Mr. Montbleau,
yes.
Thank you for coming out here.
My pleasure.
I think I remember you mentioning you were out here for jury duty.
Yeah, but it got canceled.
Today. Really?
Yeah. So.
Oh, so you went, or you?
No, I got an email a few days ago saying it was canceled.
So why you in? But you live in Burlington.
I'm officially a resident of Massachusetts. Oh, really? Still, which I'm working on right now. Yeah, I've had this room I've rented in Lawrence. I'm from Peabody,
right?
And I lived in Cambridge, Somerville for years, and then I've had this room in Lawrence that I still have, that I still pay rent for. But it's very cheap rent, and it's a beautiful old Victorian house in Lawrence, and it started as our band house years ago. I've been in there over 10 years now, maybe 11, 12 years. I'm there now, actually, like finally clearing out stuff and sort of getting geared up to leave. Finally, it's been a long time coming, but we'll see. But yeah, so I'm still I'm still a resident of Mass. It's going to feel weird if I do leave to really officially not have a place in Massachusetts. I've my whole life, you know.
Are your parents still here?
No, my parents moved to Naples, Florida.
Naples.
Years ago. Yeah, on the golf course, doing that thing.
They go to the Red Sox and
they just went the other day. I got them tickets. Yep.
Yeah. I've been to spring training.
It's pretty cool.
I've heard it's awesome.
Spring training is an interesting mix of because the veterans don't really care. Can I swear on this?
Yes.
No? Okay. Veterans don't really give a shit, and but I mean they kind of do, but they know they're going to make the team, so it's really laid back and it's like 80 degrees. But it's that mixed with like these young players that are going crazy trying to. So it's like this nice mix of effort and non-effort.
We were going to talk about jury duty.
Yeah,
okay.
Chuck and I both have strong feelings about jury duty.
I have pretty strong feelings. I sat on a trial.
You sat on a trial already?
Years ago I did in Cambridge.
What was it about?
It was a sexual assault trial.
Ugh.
Crazy, heavy stuff. But it was a heightening experience. You know, it was like really to be a part of that and to realize that you're just, this is what we do in our country.
Yeah.
You could be sitting there, if you're charged with a crime, be sitting there in front of a jury of your peers deciding your fate.
Right.
Pretty heavy stuff.
Yeah, it was heavy.
Yeah.
It was heavy for me. I had a good experience in that. I mean, the guy was a bad dude and he stabbed somebody.
Oh, God.
But we went in and it was like 2 days I was in there. And then we went in for the actual trial, and we were sitting, and then the bailiff came in, and said he just pleaded guilty. The judge will be in here in just a minute. And the judge came in and spoke to us for like 20 minutes, telling us how thankful she was and how appreciative of us taking the time out of our busy day, and how important it is as Americans. How many times a week she does?
But still, it's that crucial. You know? It's like,
I was so impressed with how appreciative they were of us.
Yeah,
and they treated us really well. But looking at you, I don't know if you had the same experience I did.
No, well, I've been in jury duty once and didn't get on a trial or anything.
So you're just bitter because they didn't choose you?
But no, I think jury duty is really important. And so a message to the listeners out there is don't try to get out of jury duty.
Yeah, don't.
Well, I think for most people, it's just like, it's this thing you just try to get out of.
Well, it's fascinating.
It's never convenient. It never comes. Honestly, when I did it at the time, I was years ago. I was on the road like crazy, but I had a few days off. Like I happened to at this time, like, and I was home, and I was kind of broke and on the road all the time anyway. So I think I was like paid like $50 a day, and I loved it. It was like I thought it was great for that. But it was heavy stuff. It was like no joke.
You don't want anything boring like something.
My father years ago sat. My father sat on a jury in Lawrence, and it was like a major drug case. They're like putting out kilos of cocaine and bags of cash and stuff and guns that they found on the thing. And I think my father had to like read the verdict. He was so scared that
what do they call those guys?
The foreman, the
foreman,
or the four. They might say four-person now.
Yeah. Four-person,
because it's not necessarily.
You know what they used to say about Lawrence before you lived there? They used to go to Lawrence. It's a riot. Early 80s maybe or something,
really?
where there were some riots there.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
That was like a saying they used to say, go to Lawrence, it's a riot.
Yep. I didn't want to move there. I was like, I'm not moving. I'm from Peabody. I was like, I'm not moving to Lawrence. Yeah. But it's been fine. But sort of the cheap rent there has sort of allowed me to explore. Like I moved to New York for 2 years without moving all of my whole life and all my stuff and everything. It sort of allowed me to explore places, which is what I did with Burlington, Vermont, which is I'm trying to make that home now. And,
where are you in Burlington?
I am right like basically downtown. I can walk downtown.
So you're like in a church.
But I have a spot like looking at the lake. I have an amazing. I feel like it's taken me 15 years to find this little slice of what I'm calling home. I love it. People are friendly. When you go other places outside of the Northeast, you realize how friendly people are in general. I think in general, at least it's more in the culture there. I think here we have like there's more of that New England saltiness. It's more introverted. Like the first time I took a trip years ago and went to like a bar in California or wherever, and the stranger starts talking to you. You know, the Peabody in me is like, what the hell is this dude's problem? You know what I mean? And then you're like, oh, they're just being nice. Well, Burlington feels like that. For a place in the Northeast, it feels kind of a little more open and friendly and hippie than other places.
We were just there to look at colleges for my daughter.
Nice.
At UVM and Champlain.
Champlain, yeah.
But yeah, it's beautiful. I'm from here. I grew up in Concord. I live in Carlisle now. Mm-hmm. And I saw you on a blues cruise. I didn't know who you were, but the boat was packed. I'm actually surprised they even let the boat leave. There's so many kids on there.
Yeah, we used to sell those out.
It was ridiculous.
So this was a booze cruise or a blues cruise?
It's called a blues cruise, right?
As soon as you go out on a boat, it's a booze cruise.
Yes.
Well, as much as I wanted it to be, I was always like, no, we play concerts. I want to be listened to, you know what I mean? But it's like, as soon as you go out in a boat, people think they're in Cancun, and it's like,
A lot of people younger than me, I mean, it was literally packed, and you had the full band in there too.
Yep.
And you guys freaking rocked.
We used to do those every year. Yep. And then we graduated to a bigger boat.
Oh, really?
We did the Provincetown 2, which held about like over 900 people. I think we used to sell that one out. Yeah, those were good. We used to do those, for many years.
But what I liked about it, after the fact, I was able to buy a CD of the actual performance from you online, which I'd never seen before. I thought that was the coolest thing. Yeah. And now I think I think a lot of bands do it. I bought one from Wilco after the show, which I think it's a nice, really special thing for you to be able to do for your fans, is to have the actual concert they went to.
Yeah. For years we did. We had USB drives that we would do at the show. You could just fill up a USB with that night's show, all mixed, all like the tracks like all separated. Yeah, I used to have quite an operation going on with like the band that I had, and I had an engineer who was wonderful, and we had our own soundboard, and we had this whole kind of thing going on. And I don't really have that anymore.
So you burned the CDs that night, right?
We didn't burn CDs. You could get it online afterwards, but then eventually we had a thing that could rip USB drives. Yeah. So we just ripped 10 at a time, and our percussionist would go over there right after the show, and we had like just a system in place, and our engineer was mixing it on a separate mix the whole time, and we would sell those at the show. That was really cool because that's when you want to, you walk out of the show with a recording of the show.
Yeah, you may be more likely to buy that than...
Yeah, because you were there, and you remember all the banter, all the little things about it, for sure. Yeah, we used to do that, and we did... Wait, I just lost my train of thought. I just totally lost whatever I was. I had something interesting to say.
I'm sure you did.
And now I don't.
But that's good. It gives you a little extra motivation to make the show really good.
Live streaming. That's what I was going to say. I'm sorry. Live streaming, we were kind of ahead of the curve on. Like, we had a write-up in the New York Times business section because we were kind of like on the edge of that. Our guy, and it had nothing to do with me. I was the guy with the band who was doing it, but it was really like my keyboard player and my old engineer, Luke. Like, they discovered this thing. We carried with us this very serious digital soundboard, and people thought we were nuts, but we had such a system in place. We would hook it up, and it would save us time, and we had all our mixes in there, and we had a pretty serious operation going on for a while.
So it was like an early concert window kind of thing.
Yeah, it was really like, and then now everybody does it, and you can just do it on Facebook. But it was, and then we added video. We just sort of always were ahead of the curve.
So did people try to talk you out of that, saying, "Why are you going to live stream it? Nobody's going to come to the show."
A little bit. There were venues that were concerned of like, no one's going to come to the show if they can just watch it online. Yeah. And that, we never believed that, and we never believed. It just always seemed so obvious from the beginning, the sort of Grateful Dead model of like, just let people listen. We would sell our own recordings of shows and things like that, or give them away, or I'd always be prone to just like give somebody something rather than let them walk away. I'm still like that, which is why I kind of need to stay away from the merch table, because I just give stuff away. I'm like, take this. I just don't want to see them go home without it. I'd rather them have it than not. But it always seemed obvious from the people would be like, at the beginning, people would be like, "Oh man, I'm sorry, I burned your CD for my girlfriend." I'm like, great. Do it. It just seemed like such a no-brainer. It's like, great, now there's 2 people listening instead of 1, I remember printing it inside of one of the first CDs I put out. Like, if you like this, please copy it, give it to your friends.
And weren't you supposed to do a Tall Heights live stream? I don't know if it actually happened.
We did that. Yeah. We made a record live. Yeah, we went to this beautiful studio in Woodstock, Applehead, which is where I made a couple of my first band records. Went back there after all these years, and Tall Heights had been recording there recently, and we went there and made a live record together in front of an audience and live streamed it. I don't know when that's coming out. They're working on it now. They're doing mixes, so it should be out in a couple months, I would think. But they're doing great.
Tall Heights.
Tall Heights is killing it. But no, Tall Heights is great. I saw them at the open mic, at Tom Bianchi's open mic at the Lizard Lounge a few years ago. Lounge. Yeah, it's great. It's an institution, and I was a judge for the open mic challenge. But like every 6 months, they would have because they have a winner every week. So every 6 months, they would have the winners of the winners would all do a big battle royale against each other. And Tall Heights were there, and that was the first place I saw them. And I was a judge, and they did not win that night, but they were great. And I was like, "Who are you guys?" And they knew who I was. It was really cool. And so I would like put them on as an opener when I could, and we started collaborating. And then it was their idea to cover "Fast Car" by Tracy Chapman.
You got a fast car, and I want to take you anywhere. Maybe we make a deal. Maybe together we can get somewhere. Any place is better. Starting from zero, got nothing to lose. Maybe we'll make something. Me, myself, I got nothing to prove. You got a fast car, I got a plan to get us out of here. Been working at a convenience store. Managed to save just a little bit of money. Won't have to drive too far. Just cross the border and into the city. You and I can both get jobs. Finally see what it means to be living.
Yeah, so I was listening to Fast Car on the way over. I do not have a fast car. I have a Toyota Prius.
Nice.
I was driving over tonight and listening to Fast Car.
Sensible car.
Nice. Another very sensible
car. I have a Jeep.
Nice.
I love
big tank.
I love my Jeep.
But I was listening to that song, and I was really amazed in the first verse how you sound, so you can sound so much like Tracy Chapman. Like, it was it was really great, and it brought me back. But then I was wondering, all the people listening to the song now, how many of them know the original song? Because I grew up knowing the Tracy Chapman song, but I don't hear it a lot on radio now. So I wonder how many people are being introduced to the song through your version with Tall Heights and are now going back and learning about the original. And I was just thinking about the way music and art can be cyclical like that. Like,
for sure.
Discover something new and then go back to find the original.
I heard something on the radio today, and it was a new song, but the backing track sounded exactly like Heart of Glass by Blondie.
Oh, really?
The track was great, and it was super high energy. It felt good. It was like kind of a disco beat, but it was awesome. But it's that thing. It's like you wonder if you haven't heard that Blondie track and you just hear this new track, it's the greatest. When I was growing up, it was like that with hip-hop. It was like I had never really...
Sampling and all that, right?
Yeah, I had never dug into James Brown and P-Funk and stuff, but the first time I heard it was on an Ice Cube track or a Tribe Called Quest track or something, and I was like, what? This is amazing music. And it is in its own way. They did something else.
That's the ultimate form of flattery.
Yeah, I think Bruno Mars does a really good job with that now. One song sounds like a Police song, and one sounds really like a Prince song or a Michael Jackson song, and they do it really, really well. And it's got its own thing, and it's got a vibrancy to it, so it's not just a straight ripoff, but it would not exist without those direct influences. I think you can hear that in a lot of pop music now. It's like direct. I
like people doing covers, especially because they can do a different take on it. Mm-hmm. You know Mark Arelli?
I just listened to the podcast with him on the way here.
So yeah, he did the mixtape.
It's an honor to be sitting in the spot where Mark
exactly
Arelli
where
has
he was.
sat.
That's right. Yes.
But yeah, he has that record full of covers, which is great.
They did them all his own way. Mm-hmm. It's a way to not only introduce people who never heard these songs. I mean, Against All Odds, I don't know how many kids nowadays know that song at all, but us being men of the 80s.
I love that song.
Yeah, it's a great song. So a lot of kids may not know about it.
I like Phil Collins. I'm not ashamed to say it now.
Too bad Ron's not here. Ron's a huge Phil
I heard
Collins
him on
fan.
that thing. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And I get it. I remember
Collins is great.
There was an episode of South Park where they're like, Phil Collins sucks ass. It was just like, it's become like this fact of like, well, he's just lame. And it's like, well, all that stuff is cyclical. And then somebody becomes cool again. You realize how great they were.
Exactly.
I don't know. That guy's awesome. And some of those tracks are so undeniable. And it's like, yeah, you don't have to like them. I get it. They laid it on a little
I think part of it was that he was so everywhere when he had his hits.
Yeah.
He was on 9 out of 10 songs. It was like, he was all
and
over
anybody
the place.
like that is just going to be hated by a big section of
But we saw him in London and talked to Leland Sklar. And Leland Sklar, he's like a huge Phil Collins fan. And I tell you, the concert was amazing. It was amazing.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. But yeah, covers, I think like even when you try to do something like the original, it comes out differently. That's the history of music itself. It's like, Robert Plant was like trying to sound like an old soul singer or something, and it just came out sounding like Robert Plant. And then they were trying to play old blues tunes, and it came out sounding like Led Zeppelin or whatever. Just like that's what the evolution of music is sort of trying to do one thing and having it almost by accident come out a different way.
Yeah.
You know? Like I had a song I still play called Honeymoon Eyes that I wrote 15 years ago or more. I don't know. At the time, I was just trying to do Martin Sexton. And I think in my mind, I thought it sounded like Martin Sexton, but now I realize why that song doesn't sound anything like that. However, I pictured playing those chords and something about it in my mind. I was like, yeah, this is like, exactly what I'm listening to. And it's like, no. But it came out as me, for better or for worse. I mean, that one has stuck with me. There's probably 10 more that I don't still play that came from that time, but I don't know. When
I first started writing, I was listening to a lot of David Gray. Mm-hmm. And so all the rhythms that I was coming out with were very David Grayish. And to this day, I get made fun of. They're like, Chuck, you've been listening to David Gray again? I'm like,
we talked about this, Chuck.
Yeah. But now that you listen to it later on, even though it was inspired by him.
Well, now I know, too. It's like you sort of grow to a point where you sort of flying blind, I think, in the beginning. And for a good way. It's just some kind of blind ambition, or you think you sound a certain way and you don't. But if you just keep doing stuff, I mean, I think good things can happen. I mean, but now, I mean, it's like I've toured with Martin Sexton now. I've been his band. My band was his backup band in 2010, and he produced my record. And I honestly, in a weird way, I honestly feel like my last record, I sort of finally maybe caught up to some version of that. Something that might be on a shelf with my hero, is something like it took me 15 years, but maybe now I'm really kind of starting to claw that. And it's always me. It's all different, you know what I mean? But for whatever it's worth, I feel like, I don't know, you have to evolve into the thing that you actually think you are.
Yeah.
So I wonder, at this point in your career, I was reading the book about Andy Partridge from XTC recently, a series of interviews with him, and he was talking about songwriting and how he never throws anything away. Like he writes everything down. He keeps. I love XTC. He keeps all the notebooks of everything, and then because he's like, you never know when you might need this, and he'll reuse things. So I wonder, you've been writing songs for a long time, how much you go back, and pull an idea or a lyric, from an old song that you never.
I definitely never throw things away, which is sometimes a hindrance because I have this like I'll keep a file on a song if I do it. Sometimes it's on notebooks. Lots of times it's on the computer, and I keep a file. I mean, some of these songs I've finished that have been on records, I have 15 pages of lyrics written of things I tried that just didn't work. And I never throw anything away, and I keep like an ongoing. I have like the Notes app in my iPhone is full of song ideas. The voice memo app is full of hundreds of ideas probably, and I never throw them out. It's just it's an ongoing process. I write little by little, and I take something out, or I think of like a song idea that I thought of. It could be years ago, that I just keep sort of slowly evolving in my mind. And while I'm driving, I'll think of it and I'll work through a verse and just maybe get one good line from that. And then I don't think of it again for several months or something. And then it comes back and I work it out again while I'm driving. So everything, it's like I'm sort of constantly writing little by little, and very seldom am I like sitting down and finishing a whole song at once. You know, it's just sort of constantly just sort of chipping away.
And are there moments where you have like a missing piece, like I need something, and then you go back to the notebook and say, this would fit in well here, or is that not really how it works?
Well, I think like I forget. I mean, I have to keep those recordings and those notes because I forget what I wrote. I do get pleasantly surprised of like, oh, that's pretty good. Wow, that's all right. Yeah, there's a lot of ideas in there, and I don't throw them out for those reasons. Keeping it organized and really going through all those old notebooks and stuff, like that's a whole other thing that I don't really keep up with.
Are you a guy who goes in and says, I'm going to take an hour a day or however long?
I have, like, only when I'm like under a deadline. I knew this last record I made, I was like, it was similar to what I'm talking about. I had some ideas that were finished. I had a lot of ideas that were not finished, and I was like, I knew I had to finish them. So I was
I was just leaving one? Or
yeah. Okay. I was just leaving. So I was like, I'm going to write every day for this month or 2 months or whatever it was until the session was. And I did that. And by doing that, it made me finish those songs. And it's also, that's how I came up with the title track, because I was writing so much that I took a break from really trying. It's hard for me to write songs. They rarely come out easily, I kind of work away. I sort of like the sort of Leonard Cohen, kind of Paul Simon method of like, those guys wrestled with songs for years. And sometimes you win, and sometimes the song beats you and you don't get it, you know what I mean? But more often, like, I feel like for me, that's what the process is. I know when a line's right and when it isn't, and there's a pretty strict sort of, I can't just sort of blurt something out and be like, oh, that's done. But I think there's a thing too. Like I think that's a real process of like, it's not right until it's right. For that session, I was writing every day and trying to finish these tunes, and then I had a dream one night. I don't know, I think I was with some other people, and I was like about to walk through this window from the outside of this house or something, and I heard playing in the distance, like on speakers, I heard Bryan Adams singing the chorus of my song, what became my song. And in the dream, I was like, that's a pretty good chorus. I got to write that down. And I like went to grab a pencil, and then I woke up, and then I was like, that was a good chorus. I got to write that down. And I just recorded it in my iPhone. And I've done this over the years. Like you always hear about people coming up with a song in a dream or something. And I would always try to do, like, I would get stuff in a dream. And it happened so many times. And I would wake up in the morning, and without fail, it was crap. Whatever I had dreamt was not good. It was not the Keith Richards satisfaction moment. It was just shitty. But this time I got a good chorus. And then so when I was writing all those songs, I was putting in all these hours, like trying to finish all these songs. And I took a break from that. And then I'd already had this chorus that I dreamt. And then the verses to I Was Just Leaving just poured out. It was like it was nothing, which is a rare thing for me.
You got to tell Bryan Adams about that.
I know.
Yeah, does he get
it's
a
so weird
song,
that it was Bryan. I don't tell many
that?
people that. No, he doesn't. No, I
love Bryan Adams.
Bryan's doing fine, I think. Bro. Yeah, sure. He's another guy. Cuts like a knife. Come on, that's a great song.
He had a ton of hits back then.
So many.
If he came to Boston, I would totally go see him.
Yeah.
I bet he puts in.
But then
awesome
it's like
show.
There was another thing is like the tunes got softer, and then by the time he was doing like
Everything
the Robin
do
Hood
you.
soundtrack,
Right, exactly.
then everybody was like, "All right, enough." You still hear that thing.
But I mean, Cuts Like a Knife is a great song.
I love that song.
Yeah.
Summer of '69.
I think
Summer '69.
When you dream, it's always peak Bryan Adams, right? That's the great thing about your dreams.
It's not the Robin Hood Bryan.
He's
Adams.
timeless.
Yeah.
He's ageless.
Oh, you mentioned Paul Simon. That reminded me. I was listening to Stages Volume 2, and the song Duncan came on, and that was one that like surprised me because like it took me a while to realize it was a cover. I was listening to it. I was like, oh, this is a great tune. I like this. And I was like, wait a minute, I've heard those lyrics before.
Yeah, that's
and
a great one.
I had to look it up. It's like we were talking about with samples before. When you listen to a hip hop song and you don't know the origin song, and then all of a sudden like it takes you by surprise one day you're listening to an old soul song. So it's fun when covers sort of surprise you. Like Fast Car, I know right away obviously what that is. But if it's something like Duncan, that maybe I don't know as well.
He's on his last tour.
I know, it's crazy.
Does he ever sing to you in your dreams?
No, just Bryan Adams. I guess I gotta. Man, that's a tough one.
There's a South Park episode.
I know.
Somewhere.
I'm sure. Cartman telling me
I can really picture it. I picture him like off in the distance, you know, like on
I
the
could. It was
horizon.
like you hear the speakers in a
hills.
store or something, and I was and I heard Bryan Adams going, "I was just leaving. I could hear him doing that. And
I'm surprised you actually could remember even when you woke up.
Well, I
Like
woke
that.
up like right away. I was in the dream being like, "That's a good chorus," and then I immediately woke up and I was like, "That was a good chorus." And I recorded it, and then I went back to sleep and didn't remember it, and I still have the voice memo of like,
Really?
I probably got it, man. I could find it. It's in here somewhere. It's like me mumbling, half asleep.
Did you
but-
intro it? Did you say
but-
like star date 2917?
No, I was
Bryan-
sleeping.
Bryan
I was
Adams
sleeping, so it's like, I'm just like, starting.
What I'll do is sometimes when I'm running or I'm outside, I'll think of a little tune, or I'm in my car, I'll just whistle it or hum it. So I've got a lot of these really bad recordings of me humming or sing or whistling into my iPhone. So far, I'm 0 for 90.
Yeah.
None of them are.
We got to keep
anything.
trying.
I'm not
I
gonna
had
stop.
a bunch. I had a ton. I should probably play all the bad
I'd
ones
say
too.
stick to the humming.
I'm
So
not
I feel
gonna
like when you
stop.
try to whistle, it never sounds like it sounds in your head.
Maybe that's my problem.
And
Maybe
I'm-
I'd be 1 for 91 if I hummed.
I just want to apologize to all the Trekkies listening out there. I shouldn't have said star date without knowing a realistic number to say. Like I started the star date and then I knew I couldn't finish it, and I threw out a number that's probably
You're not in
not
the
going to work in
company
any
that
of the series.
Would know.
No, but with the listeners, I'm sure there's some
Specifically.
Trekkies out there.
Remember that?
They're going to send you email.
Remember that episode William Shatner was on Saturday Night Live, and he goes to a Star Trek.
yeah.
He
I
goes to
just
Star
wanna
Trek.
say-
Yes, I do remember
Get
that.
a life.
I just
Yeah.
want to say,
Yeah,
"Get
that
a
was
life."
great.
Do you have a girlfriend? Have you ever had a girlfriend?
That was classic.
It was classic.
Yeah, I feel like with the old SNLs, there's a lot of those where you can be like, "Do you remember that?" And you do remember it. We all remember it, but
Yeah.
I don't know if that's the case.
I don't know
today.
anymore. I haven't watched Saturday Night
But
Live in a long,
there's
long time.
a lot of bifurcation of TV, and
Wow.
everybody watches the same
That's a
thing.
big
so
word,
it's all
dude.
streaming.
Bifurcation.
I guess
Sick.
it's not really that accurate.
You gotta write that one down for a song.
Yeah, I can't find this thing.
All right.
Well,
Well,
It's in there
It's
somewhere.
a great
Just
story,
feel-
though.
the Yes Darling album
Mm-hmm.
that you did with Hayley Jane, right, is really interesting because it's a story, it's a relationship between you and Hayley. It's almost like a musical, almost. And
Yeah, for sure.
even in the Patreon, was it a Patreon one or was it a Kickstarter video?
Yeah,
that you
Pledge
did?
Music.
Pledge Music.
Yep.
You act out your acting. It's.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be a play.
I think now we didn't sort of start out with that intention, but now I think the intention with that project is to turn it into a play. I think we really want to just sort of keep fleshing out this show because it's just kind of made for that. The songs even follow a narrative, and we get dressed up and we play ourselves, but we are playing. So what we're sort of intentionally trying to blur the lines of what is real and what isn't, because there's a lot of stuff in the songs that are real that involve me and her. There's a lot of stuff that is not, that has nothing to do with us, that we draw on old relationships or whatever it is, and we're sort of like trying to blur all those lines.
Yeah, you can't tell by watching what's
it's good.
real or
I mean,
not.
good. That's what we're going for. But I really think it's a thing. I mean, I think we made a serious record there, and I still feel like it. I have this really strong feeling like just more people need to listen to it. I don't usually get that. You always want people to listen to your records, but it's not just a collection of songs. It's got a thing. It's got we're a unit. It's an act. It's a collective voice. Yeah, it's not like if you come to a Yes Darling show, it's not a Ryan Montbleau show or a Hayley Jane show. It's a Yes Darling show, and we're sort of in character, and we play these songs that we wrote.
I think it's a great idea to
Thanks.
make that into a musical. I really do.
I think it could totally work, and
Yeah.
and everybody says that, and now everyone's like, "You just make this a musical," and we're like, "Yep, we got you." So we're just trying to figure out how to do that. I think we're going to start with, we have gigs, so we're going to just keep sort of fleshing out the show. Part of the show is like we have pretty good timing with each other. We have pretty good improv, and we really mess with each other, and there's a real dynamic there. I mean, for some of those videos that we made for the Pledge campaign, we would just take whatever we were really fighting about and just make a video about that. For whatever reason, that dynamic works with us. We take in a kernel of some kind of truth that is really going on with us, and we can kind of stretch it and make it this entertaining thing.
But you said it's improvised, right? Like it's not scripted. You're taking something that is
it's
real.
There's a
but
lot of
you
improv, but
it,
we
yeah.
want to script things a little more. We have certain things. We have certain gags that we do, and there's certain ones that we put on the record. So there's we now that people have the record, we know we have to change those and stuff. But there's a lot of improv. There's a lot of in the moment, a lot of yes and.
Yeah.
A lot of us kind of just messing with each other live.
great.
Did it start off that way, the collaboration you did with her, or did it kind of just morph into that by accident?
It kind of quickly developed. We didn't really know. We just got together to do a co-writing session at the house in Lawrence. The first song we wrote is the first song in the record. It's called So Wrong. it involves like real things between me and her, and then a real just kind of wondering in general about what's going on, and real just kind of generalizing relationships too. It was like sort of everything was in there at once. It was like the real personal and the general, and it just worked. And then I think the second song we wrote was Misplaced Anger, which is like, I love you, I want to kiss your lips and punch you in the face. Yeah. Which taken out of context sounds pretty terrible, but it's not. Somebody was like, Ryan, I don't know, I can't support a song about punching someone in the face. And I'm like, it's not about punching someone in the face, it's about wanting to punch someone in the face, which is totally different.
I love you, I want to kiss your lips and punch you in the face. Don't see why we can't both be right, but I fear our anger here has been misplaced. And though I'd never do it, I still cop to it. Kiss your lips and punch you in the face. Sorry for the day I said you're sounding like your mom again. You know I love you squawking in my ear, dear.
Well, squawking in your ear you say, take your songs and go away.
Fine.
Not that you say anything round here.
Look, I'm sorry you've been here at home while I'm away and on the road. Maybe we could fly you out for New Year's.
Well, who ain't you explaining, man? You never come to see my band. Good thing I already paid the rent.
I paid the goddamn rent.
It's about wanting to punch your significant other in the face, but not really. It's not about violence, not really doing it.
Right.
Which I get. It's almost like I shouldn't even talk about it. You just have to kind of hear the vibe of the song and you'll get it.
The rapport with her, I mean, she's amazing. So she's totally charming. And both of you together, I mean,
it's a thing.
It's a thing. It's
and
definitely
that quickly
a thing.
developed. Once we had that second song was like, I love you, I want to kiss your lips and punch you in the face. And we sort of had just had an easy rapport with it. I didn't realize till those sessions what a great writer she was. It sort of quickly started working with her. We really push each other in the right way. And I've never been a part of something that was so quickly like a dynamic. We can really sort of draw on like general themes of male, female roles and relationships and all kinds of stuff. And I think especially for couples, but almost like for anyone who's ever been in a relationship, there's a ton of stuff on that record that's like true and I think not cliche. I think we have this kind of fresh take on it because we're pretty vulgar. We're pretty like 5 of those tracks I think we had to mark as explicit.
Yep,
on Spotify and stuff. There's like, I've had friends be like, my kids are asking me what those words are about. And something like, we're not holding back. Because I think we did it from I have a career, I have my band, I have things going on. That's going really well. She has her thing. She's a few years like before, like she's still grinding it out on the road, kind of more like I was 5-10 years ago. But she's like very much doing it. She's fine. She's doing great.
Yeah.
So this thing is just like there's no pressure. It's like we can tell we hit on something if we start rolling with laughter while we're writing it, and then we keep that. If we feel like dropping an F-bomb, we're going to do it, but not unnecessarily. Yeah, that's Yes, Darling.
You have the City Winery thing coming up. Mm-hmm. Is that going to be a kind of rehearsal? Is each progressive performance going to be built upon to eventually get to that place?
I think in waves, you know what I mean? Like we just started this thing, really. We had our first shows that were just us in February, and those were great. The end of that month, we did some shows with Yes, Darling opening up for my band. I didn't know how that was going to go. I was like, I don't know how much I want to mix this thing. I mean, and then essentially I'm opening for myself, which is just weird. Like what, and those were great. It was like,
you get paid twice.
They had this really, yeah. Somebody said that too. And I'm like, no, actually, I'm basically doing twice the work so that I can pay more people more money out of the money I would have made.
Right.
But whatever, it's still great.
Yeah.
It's kind of cool now because it's still so raw. And a lot of people haven't heard a lot of the stuff that it's still in this really nice stage of like seeing the thing in its most raw form. And it's going to keep building up from here. And we have a little stage set, we have a little table and lamp, a little bit. We're starting to, we're like starting small, but it's like, it's something. And we have these little talkback mics we use, and we kind of like talk back to each other. And I could tell it's going to just sort of keep building.
Sounds like now is the time to see it. You're getting on the ground floor.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think it's a really special thing
see where
now.
It goes from here.
Yeah. There's just a lot of power in it now. I think that'll continue, but I think it's just going to keep getting bigger.
Yeah, that's great. I'm sold.
Yeah.
Nice.
And and City Winery is a nice place to do it too.
I haven't been there. I played many other city wineries in many other towns, but I haven't done the one in Boston. So I'm curious.
It's the only one I ate at the City Winery in New York, but I've never seen the stage. Mm-hmm. But this is very much like a theater. It's like it's like a dinner theater kind of
theater vibe. They usually are.
Theater vibe.
They're cushy gigs too. They take care of you.
Oh yeah. Well, they did a nice job there, and you know.
I'm sure they always do. I've met that owner, Shlomo and stuff, and they always know what they're doing.
So Ryan, I was listening to some of your music today. I'm a software engineer. I have the advantage of being able to just listen to music while I'm writing code all day. So my dog and I can listen to music. So the one song that kept getting in my head was Eggs on Patience on Friday. Mm-hmm. It's a very fun song. So I have a multiple choice question for you about that song.
Okay.
Because I heard it and it was reminding me of something. And I realized it was the Jimmy Buffett song, Cheeseburger in Paradise. So the multiple choice question is A, is it somehow related to or inspired by that? B, are they both related to or inspired by some shared tradition? Or C, none of the above. It's just a random connection that I made.
C.
All right.
Has nothing to do with Jimmy Buffett.
I thought that was the most likely answer. Remember
the
the
true
lyric?
story with that is like I wrote that on an acid hangover in Colorado years ago. I was still awake. They were cooking breakfast in the kitchen, and I was still up. And I don't know. I just wrote that song.
I like mine scrambled in the morning. You like your sunny side. I like mine scrambled in the morning. You like your sunny side. Scrambled, scrambled, scrambled in the morning. A little dark cream Florentine for mine. Scrambled, scrambled, scrambled in the morning.
And I had studied some gypsy jazz. My friend Stefan Rumbel is a brilliant gypsy jazz player, and I used to take lessons from him, and he's still a good friend of mine and teacher. And I sang with him at Carnegie Hall last year. It's like that still keeps blossoming. Yeah, I think the style kind of came from more of that, and he's on that track.
Gypsy jazz kind of style. Yeah.
He's actually on that track, and so. But yeah, it's funny. People always ask for that song.
Yeah, it's catchy.
It's a good one.
It's simple, but it's like a fun song.
And which is you can't ever sort of beat. But I just always thought it was funny because I spent so much time trying to pour out my most inner emotions and my deep dark sides and just plunge the depths of my soul. And then
you wrote a song called Eggs.
I wrote a song called Eggs, and people go to the show and they go, "Eggs, play Eggs." I'm like, all right, here you go. But it's fun. I like playing it.
So that's a challenge as an artist, is you never know what the fans are gonna respond.
Yeah, it's not up to me.
Sometimes it's the things that are.
You don't choose your fans. Your fans choose you. That whole thing.
Yeah, I'll reference the Andy Partridge book again. Andy talks about how he hates all of the early songs he wrote because they were just inspired by like some stupid comic book he read, and like, wouldn't it be cool to have like a rocket ship, with the something or other, and then he like sang a song about that, and it was like had no meaning. And then as he aged and like had life experiences, he could write real lyrics and real songs, and that's the one he wanted people to like. But then when people like the older songs, he didn't quite get it.
Yeah, it seems to be that way for a lot of people. I know Paul Simon had a thing about that where he was like, a lot of those songs. He's been writing hits since he was a teenager. A lot of those Simon and Garfunkel songs that everybody still wants to hear. He was young in his 20s, early 20s, and he's like, I wrote those things 40 years ago, so he still wants to be relevant. Yeah. But he is. I think he is. But like that album, So Beautiful or So What, that he put out a few years ago is incredible. I think it's as good as anything he's ever done. But people want to hear Cecilia, and what are you going to do? It's a good problem to have.
Tell me your number, and you can tell me your name. Tell me your shoe size, little darling. You can tell me anything, just don't tell me you've got better things to do. I'm talking about long walks in the sunshine. I'm talking about loving you. Tell me that I'm out of my mind for trying. Tell me to say my 2 cents for another dollar, girl, to be denying. Just don't tell me you've got better things to do. I'm talking about nothing short of spectacular, mama. I'm talking about loving you. From the very first moment that I lay my eyes upon you now, the sunshine of life came rolling on into view. Bet another dollar I can make my 2 cents sound more crazy, but I do believe I'm falling in love with every inch and every mannerism of you.
You know how I spent my day today? In the house in Lawrence. I got to clear out all this stuff from the attic because I got to move out of the house.
You still got to pack up your own stuff.
Sure. Yeah. I'm 40 years old. I'm single. I have no kids. I'm trying to keep 2 plants alive up in Burlington, Vermont, and not doing a very good job at it. I have maybe 600 still in the shrink wrap DVDs of a thing we put out in 2010 in the attic, and I'm like, no one's ever going to buy these. One of the major recycling places in the country to do that is no one's going to buy them, and the recycling place wouldn't take them until they're separated. So what I was doing before I came here was opening up full boxes of 100 DVDs each, taking the shrink wrap off, putting it in one bag, taking the CD off, putting it in a pile, taking the paper out, putting it in a pile, taking the like over and over and over and over and
whatever
over.
It was.
Yeah,
you should just give them.
Just to recycle.
You like to give away stuff.
It's like, look, believe me, I still have some. Wow. People can have them if they want them, but there were so many, and it's like just I don't know. It's
a little purging for you.
In a way, I was thinking about this because I was thinking about your podcast while I was doing that. I was like, what the hell am I going to talk about tonight? I mean, which here I am talking about the goddamn DVDs. It's almost like a good metaphor for me because my whole career has been like, if you want a career, go get one. Like, I would just go do the Kells open mic and the Burren open mic every single week and drive in from Peabody and do it. And then I would take every crap bar gig I could get. I played the TGI Fridays in Peabody. I played the Starbucks on Boylston Street in Boston. I would just, whatever. And then I was scrubbing the bars at the House of Blues or hosting or selling T-shirts or whatever. And then I would get like a real show there, like a matinee or something. When I came home with the stupid box of DVDs today that the recycling guy wouldn't take, it's like I probably could find somebody to help me do that. It's probably more sane to be like, give that job to somebody else. I don't know if it's because I do things the hard way, but for me, it's just like, well, just go do the work. Just go. Like right now, I was like, all right, I got 2 hours before I have to leave for this podcast. Let me see how many boxes I can go through, and I did that. I mean, I needed college to figure that out. You know, I needed like I didn't know. You know, like I had no idea. I was I got out of like Peabody High class of '95, and we were sort of pushed towards engineering in the classes I was in. And it was like, well, you can get a good job and you can make money. So I went in a chemical engineering major.
But you'd played guitar before that.
I had played guitar. Yeah, I had guitar since I was 8. But I would pick it up, put it down, I mean, it wasn't like I never took it seriously, never really practiced.
You didn't have bands in high school?
No, nothing in high school, nothing like that. I just kind of had a guitar around, and once in a while I would pick it up, but really nothing. But then I went away to Villanova, and I got super depressed, and I was away from home, and I was listening to the blues, and then smoking a lot of pot all of a sudden, sort of, and then trying psychedelics for the first time and things, and I just kind of, I was like super sad, and the guitar just made sense, and all I wanted to do was play guitar. So when I went into college, I played and played and played, and then I switched to the business school, and that wasn't quite right, and then my last 2 years I was an English major, and so I was studying this Yeats and all this serious poetry and writing my own poetry the whole time and just weeping and playing guitar, and then I started to sing my senior year. And then you're graduating and everybody's like, what are you going to do? That's what everybody asked, and then I was like, I think I want to make music. So my parents were like, what? So I came home, lived with them in Peabody for another 4 years. And I was like, I didn't start figuring it out until that point of well, how do you do that? And that's why I got a job at the old House of Blues in Harvard Square.
Oh, right. That's when you started playing there, right?
Yeah, and I started selling tickets. It taught me, it was 7 nights a week of these bands coming in from all over the world, basically, and playing a small club, which I didn't know was a reality, really, until then. Not really, And so I just sort of learned a lot there. And then I've been grinding it out ever since.
I was looking for a bright side, mama, ever since about the day I was born. Always headed for a bright light, wondering what it might have in store. Through the dark of the dead-end roads and the people who were not what they seemed, left myself alone again with me. And I was looking for a bright side, mama, when you took me and you set me down slow. Calm my nerves, ease my mind, and you hit me with the healing. You show me what the real thing is. Bright lights are blinded, and I need reminded that my light shines brightest when I see the bright side of you.
You had to kind of come to the truth last year, right? Where you lost your manager, your relationship. There's this whole thing that you talked about before a million times, I'm sure, but you had to kind of do something different, which you did. You did the more mellow album that you did, I Was Just Leaving. And now you're doing something totally 180.
Yeah, the duo. Yes, darling.
Yeah, which is, and it's, even though it's I'm going to punch you in the face, it's still like a happy.
No, it's got a vibrancy to it.
It's a very good word. I like that. It's got a vibrancy for it. So, you've just kept on plugging away. And I know, maybe
Still
that's
going.
a good metaphor, ripping up all those old CDs. It's a good metaphor for you, separating
It's a
everything.
trip, man. I'm looking at this thing of God, we worked so hard to make this, and I'm literally, it's it was enough for me to bring them all in boxes to the goddamn recycling place and be like, wow, this is a pretty big deal for me. And then they sent me home with them, and now I have to open each individual one and take them apart. And there's a lot of that going through my house. There's just years of stuff I never dealt with, old equipment and old. I spent my life on on the road, you know, and I still am trying to figure out what home is and what I have all these remnants of all that stuff. Yeah, it's a trip. I tell people, you know, it hasn't killed me yet. So it's like I'm still going.
Excellent.
You know, everybody has their shit they have to deal with, and this is not a very stable lifestyle, but it's like, man, I make a living. It's good. A few years ago, I hit a point where it's felt like, okay, I have a career and it's not going away. Where it's for years, you were just kind of chasing that. You were like trying to build and build and build something. And then it finally hit a point where I was like, okay, if I don't get back to Ohio tomorrow, they're still going to come out. So now it's just like, okay, trying to find some underlying peace, trying to figure out where my home is. What, you know, am I going to have kids someday? It's getting weird. All my friends have like houses and 3 kids, and except for the musicians, they're as crazy as I am, just still going, you know. I don't know, just making peace with this. I've spent my 10,000 hours on the road and learning how to give performances, and I've spent so little time compared to that making recordings, being a recording artist. So it's like I still have a long way to go to figure out how to make better and better records, but I have all these roots from the seeds I planted over the years of people who are listening.
Is that a goal for you to be more of a studio musician? And
I think so, more of it. You know, I mean, I'll always play live. I mean, I still do. I don't do as many long tours now, but I'm constantly bouncing around. I'm always going to play live. But yeah, I want to like explore the art form more.
We'll see you on Broadway, man.
And I want to do that too. I want to do it all.
For a city winery and then go see it on Broadway and compare it.
I want to see you on Broadway. Jonathan Brooks.
I want that to happen.
She's doing a musical about her mother.
Really?
It's called My Mother Has 4 Noses.
Wow.
And she's got a one-woman show, and she's now touring around the country with it.
Amazing.
It's amazing.
Sarah Bareilles has Waitress, right?
Yep, yeah. Sarah Bareilles, and she does it with Jason Mraz, who was doing it with him on Broadway. So that's your next step, man. You're going to do Jesus Christ Superstar.
Yeah, there's a market for that. You know, there's all these musicals that are based on just the catalog of an artist. You know, people want a lot of different kind of music that's not necessarily show tunes.
Yes, Darling is a Broadway show.
I honestly believe Yes, Darling has like tons of potential, more than probably my own thing that I've been plugging away at.
I can see it on a playbill. Yes, Darling. I can see it.
It really resonates with people. Yeah.
Well, I wish you the best of luck with that. I think it's really great. I'm gonna hopefully I can get tickets to this thing on City Winery. I hope it's not sold out. Is it sold out?
It's not sold. I don't think it's sold out.
Well, I mean, I hope it's sold out. But
I know a guy.
You know a guy?
Yeah.
And I also want all. And I'm gonna buy some CDs, but I want everything separated into its own type of. You know, with the plastic over here and the CD over here. So
come to the merch table. You have to put together your own DVD.
Deconstructed,
Yeah, I can do it. I know exactly how they're constructed.
Can you play us a couple songs?
Sure, if I can use your guitar.
You can.
Mine's in the shop. I'll do 2 songs. I'll do a fun Yes, Darling song first, and then I'll do a nice, sad Ryan Montbleau song after that to show you where I'm coming from.
All right, excellent.
But yeah, this is a Yes, Darling song. This is called Call Your Mother. Call your mother, she is getting worried. She has not heard from you. Tell her you love her, just don't tell her everything you do. Don't tell about how scared you were when you were driving home through the snow. And don't tell about the older man you're getting to know. Don't tell about all the drinks you had and all the exercise you're not getting. And maybe leave out the part about the birth control you keep forgetting. Don't tell about the things you said to cool Suzette to get her in your bed. Don't tell about the drugs that you tried to steal, but tell about the way they made you feel. Call your mother, she is getting worried. She has not heard from you. Tell her you love her, just don't tell her everything you do. Don't tell about how much it burns you sometimes when you pee. Don't tell about your nitrous epiphany. Don't tell her that. Don't tell about the morning after, the wake and bake laughter, your panties in the rafters, drinking in the midday. Every day's my birthday. Stumbling down the hallway, humping in the driveway. Don't tell about the things you said to cool Susie together in your bed. Don't tell about the threesome that you had in the field, but tell about the way it made you feel. Call your mother, she is getting worried. She has not heard from you. Tell her you love her, just don't tell her everything you do. Tell her you love her, just don't tell her everything you do. Call your father too. Thank you. My mother loves. I played that for my mother up in Maine. She was visiting up north, and
She like it?
she cried tears of happiness at first because she just heard "Call Your Mother" the song, and she didn't really listen to the verses so much at first. Then she was just kind of like, "What?" She was just like, you could see her face, like, "What threesome?" Like, what, you know. But she loves it. She's good. Yeah, cool. Now I'll bum you out. You know, it takes all kinds of songs. But this is the last song I wrote. This isn't on anything. I thought this might be nice. This is called Looking Glass. I spend so much time looking at my damn iPhone, as most people do. I think this is sort of about that, but yeah, it's called Looking Glass. I would have called again, but then what if you didn't answer? Much like the times I've called before. I know you reach out when you can, put all your daily chores to bed. And when your heart and your brain isn't racing anymore. Busy people in the burning sand, take a look up from your looking glass when you can. I would have moved your way, but then you never would have asked me to. We never put each other out, we just put each other on. And so I keep you on my mantle, right here inside my looking glass. Never far from how I see myself in this. Busy people in the burning sand, take a look up from your looking glass when you can. I would have given you my last dime, 10 silver pennies for to feed you with. I'm full of imaginary gifts. You call to tell me that I'm not alone. You write to show me you can reach my home. You mean to tell me that you've known all this time where it is. Busy people in the burning sand, take a look up from your looking glass when you can. I don't take it when your call comes in. I sit and listen to it afterwards. I'll call you back when I'm feeling good and done with this. Busy people in the burning sand, take a look up from your looking glass when you can.
busy people in the burning sand. Take a look up from your looking glass when you can. When you can.
Ryan's a really great guy, and we'll miss him as he heads up to live in Burlington, Vermont. Be sure to ask him to take apart any CD you buy from him. He will appreciate it. See where he is playing and buy his pre-assembled CDs at ryanmontbleau.com. And you definitely need to catch Ryan and Hayley as Yes Darling when they come to your town. You can get their music and see their schedule at yesdarlingmusic.com. Go to abovethebasement.com where you can join us on Patreon, sign up for our newsletter, listen and subscribe to our podcast, like our Facebook page, follow us on Twitter, and look at all the nice pictures we post on Instagram. We are everywhere. On behalf of Ronnie, Ike, and myself, thanks for listening. Tell your friends, and remember, Boston music, like its history, is unique.